Why reading is important. Young Alex felt a pervasive knot of apprehension whenever English conversation loomed. The words often swirled in his mind, yet escaping his lips proved an immense challenge. He yearned to connect, to articulate his thoughts clearly, but a profound shyness always held him captive. His dream of fluent communication seemed impossibly distant. The global village beckoned, requiring more than just passive understanding. Alex understood that true connection meant speaking. However, the initial hurdle felt insurmountable, a towering wall of self-doubt. He spent countless hours pondering how others achieved such effortless spoken fluency. What was their secret? He often wondered silently. One evening, a seasoned mentor suggested an unconventional path: reading. Why reading is so important, the mentor emphasized. It's the silent builder of linguistic foundations. Alex, initially skeptical, wondered how silent pages could ever lead to confident speech. Yet, he decided to embrace this peculiar advice. He started with simple English children's books, then graduated to short stories. Each new word encountered felt like a tiny victory, slowly expanding his internal dictionary. This quiet pursuit revealed an unexpected joy, a gradual unveiling of language's intricate beauty. Reading became his secret sanctuary. Reading wasn't just about vocabulary. It was about structure, rhythm, and context. He began to internalize sentence patterns and natural expressions. Why reading is important resonated deeply as he noticed how much easier it became to form coherent thoughts. His mind was absorbing language like a sponge. Beyond reading, the mentor stressed the vital role of active listening. Listen and practice, she advised, highlighting podcasts, audiobooks, and English movies. This new phase introduced Alex to the cadence of native speakers, the subtle nuances of pronunciation. His ears became finely tuned instruments. He dedicated specific time slots each day to intensive listening. He replayed challenging phrases, mimicking the intonation and speed. This meticulous attention to auditory detail dramatically improved his comprehension. Alex discovered that true understanding began with patient, deliberate listening practice. Then came the daunting task: speaking. The mentor introduced how to take the first step for talking. She suggested starting small, with no pressure. The idea was to build momentum, one tiny spoken word at a time. This concept felt less overwhelming than full conversations. Her advice was revolutionary: how to talk at home to yourself. Alex initially found this peculiar, even awkward. Yet, he began narrating his daily activities, describing objects around him. He spoke his thoughts aloud, stumbling sometimes, but always trying. This private practice became his safe zone. These solitary monologues were crucial. They allowed him to experiment with new words and grammatical structures without fear of judgment. He recorded himself, playing back his voice to identify areas for improvement. This self-dialogue was surprisingly effective for building confidence steadily. Learning words, he discovered, went beyond rote memorization. How to learn words involved understanding their various contexts and usages. He created flashcards, but also used new words immediately in his internal monologues, solidifying their place in his active vocabulary. Contextual learning proved superior. Instead of isolated words, he focused on phrases and idiomatic expressions. This method made the language feel more organic and natural. He realized that words gain power when woven into meaningful sentences, not just listed. How to practice English became a multifaceted approach. It wasn't just about one skill, but an integration of all. Reading for input, listening for intonation, and speaking to himself for output. Each element reinforced the others synergistically. He sought out online language exchange partners, tentatively at first. His initial conversations were halting, filled with pauses. Yet, he persisted, remembering the mantra. Every mistake is a step forward. He embraced the awkwardness as part of the learning curve. The best way to learn English, Alex realized, was continuous immersion combined with deliberate practice. It wasn't about finding a magic bullet, but consistently applying various strategies. Consistency, he learned, trumped intensity every single time for language acquisition. His listening skills continued to sharpen significantly. How to improve your listening skills became a daily ritual. He listened to podcasts on diverse topics, even those he initially found challenging, pushing his comprehension boundaries regularly. He watched English documentaries and movies without subtitles, then with. This two-step process helped him identify gaps in his understanding. Active recall was key. He tried to summarize what he heard immediately after listening sessions. Alex also started joining online discussion forums related to his hobbies. He began typing his thoughts in English, refining his written expression. This further solidified his vocabulary and grammatical understanding. It was another form of practice. The journey was gradual, marked by small victories rather than sudden breakthroughs. There were days of frustration where progress felt stalled. But the memory of his initial shyness fueled his perseverance relentlessly. He wouldn't give up. He celebrated every successful conversation, no matter how brief. Each time he understood a complex sentence or articulated a nuanced thought, it boosted his morale. These positive reinforcements were vital for his sustained motivation. Slowly, the fear of making mistakes began to recede. He learned that native speakers appreciated the effort more than flawless grammar. Imperfection became a sign of progress, not failure. This mindset shift was liberating for him. His initial reason, why reading is so important, had laid the groundwork. It built his mental library. Now he was activating that library, bringing the dormant words and structures to life through spoken interaction. The power of consistent listen and practice was undeniable. His ear had become attuned to the subtle differences in accents and intonations. He could now differentiate between various regional English speakers with increasing ease. How to speak with people transformed from a terrifying prospect into an exciting challenge. He started initiating conversations, even with strangers, asking simple questions, and gradually extending the dialogue. The strategies for how to take first step for talking proved invaluable, starting with common phrases, asking for directions, or ordering food. These low-stakes interactions built foundational confidence quickly. His secret weapon, how to talk at home to yourself, remained a constant. He continued his internal monologues, refining his thought process in English, even dreaming in the language occasionally. The process of how to learn words evolved. He moved from individual words to collocations and phrasal verbs. Understanding how words naturally paired together vastly improved his fluency and naturalness. He learned the value of spaced repetition for vocabulary acquisition. Reviewing words at increasing intervals ensured they moved from short-term to long-term memory. This systematic approach yielded impressive results. How to practice English became integrated into his daily routine. It wasn't a separate task, but a part of his life. Reading news, listening to podcasts during commute, speaking English with friends. He actively sought out opportunities for real-world application, visiting international events, joining hobby groups, even simply watching English sports commentaries. Every interaction was a chance to practice. The best way to learn English, he concluded, involved consistent exposure and active engagement. It wasn't about passive absorption, but dynamic interaction with the language in all its forms and contexts. How to improve your listening skills remained a priority. He began listening to faster-paced conversations, podcasts on complex scientific topics, pushing his comprehension to new heights constantly. He discovered the joy of understanding jokes and cultural references, which required nuanced listening beyond just words. This level of comprehension marked a significant milestone in his journey. Alex's transformation was evident. The once shy individual now engaged confidently in spirited debates and light-hearted banter. His voice, once hesitant, now carried conviction and clarity. He realized that language learning was a marathon, not a sprint. There would always be new words to learn, new idioms to grasp. But the foundational skills he built made the ongoing journey enjoyable. The early advice, why reading is so important, had truly been prophetic. It built the silent scaffold upon which his spoken fluency blossomed. It was the bedrock of his linguistic prowess. Listen and practice had given him the ear for the music of English, the rhythm and flow that made his speech sound natural. He could now mimic native pronunciation with remarkable accuracy. How to speak with people was no longer a theoretical concept, but a living, breathing reality. He found himself effortlessly engaging in diverse conversations, from casual chats to formal discussions. The initial, timid, how to take first step for talking had led him to strides of confidence. He could now initiate complex dialogues and maintain them with ease, adapting to different conversational partners. How to talk at home to yourself remained his powerful, private training ground. It was where he rehearsed new phrases, tested ideas, and ironed out the kinks before public delivery. The systematic approach to how to learn words ensured his vocabulary continually grew, becoming richer and more precise. He now possessed a robust lexicon for varied expression. How to practice English became a seamless part of his identity. He lived and breathed the language, integrating it into every facet of his personal and professional life organically. He became a testament to the best way to learn English, a holistic, persistent, and enjoyable pursuit that blended various methodologies into a powerful learning experience daily. How to improve your listening skills had opened up entire worlds of information and entertainment previously inaccessible. He enjoyed English movies, podcasts, and lectures effortlessly. Alex often shared his journey, emphasizing that overcoming initial fear was paramount. He encouraged others to embrace imperfection and view every interaction as a valuable learning opportunity. His story served as an inspiration. He proved that dedication, coupled with smart strategies, could transform even the most hesitant speaker into a confident communicator. It was a true success story. He reflected on the initial apprehension, the self-doubt that had once paralyzed him. Now, that felt like a distant memory, replaced by a genuine passion for linguistic exploration. The mentor's wisdom, patiently dispensed, had guided him through every phase. Her emphasis on foundational skills, like reading, was truly groundbreaking for his specific learning style. Alex now understood that fluency wasn't about being perfect, but about being effective. It was about conveying ideas clearly and connecting with people authentically, imperfections and all. He maintained a curious mind, always seeking new words, new expressions, new ways to articulate his thoughts. The learning never truly stopped. It simply evolved into an enjoyable habit. He even started tutoring others, sharing his proven methods and experiences. This act of teaching further solidified his own understanding and communication abilities. It was a rewarding cycle. His advice for beginners always started with, just begin. Don't wait for perfection. Start small, be consistent, and trust the process. The journey itself is the reward. Reading, he reiterated, was the silent giant in his learning. It expanded his mind even before his mouth started moving. A crucial first step often overlooked by many aspiring speakers. Listening provided the melody, the natural rhythm of speech. It trained his ear to recognize and reproduce authentic English sounds, essential for comprehensible pronunciation. And practice, consistent, fearless practice, both solitary and social, transformed knowledge into skill. Alex's journey underscored that effort, intelligently applied, unlocks true fluency.